So we have the rejection of all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. So that sounds pretty depressing, doesn't it? But, let's treat this like an onion. Let's peel back the layers a little bit. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Traveler Mindset channel. My name is Jake. Stoked to have you joining me here today. Today's topic, why chasing happiness can leave you unfulfilled. Kind of a backwards idea, isn't it? But let's talk about it. Let's get it. So I feel like I need to start out here with a huge disclaimer by saying, feelings are still relevant and they still matter. And how you achieve certain feelings like happiness just maybe needs to be rethought out a little bit. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be happy. I'm just saying that there are other ways to achieve happiness than by what most people think. And I believe that most people think that in order to be happy, you have to chase happiness specifically. But I'm arguing that there's another way to do it. And if you chase happiness specifically, you may actually end up being more unfulfilled than when you first started. So let me explain. So basically, we're going to break down a different way of approaching achieving happiness and how it actually ties into nihilism, which is a super interesting topic that I'm very excited to talk about. So I think you will hear a lot of people say in this world, oh, well, in order to be happy, you have to chase happiness. Well, when you ask them what that means, typically they don't know, because nobody can really define what happiness is. I mean, sure, we all have that kind of fuzzy feeling inside that we get when we feel like we're happy, but what's the difference between happiness and joy, for instance? Or what's the difference between happiness and the absence of sadness? Nobody really knows. So here's what I'm proposing. I think my theory is when you chase after happiness specifically, and if you don't achieve that, you don't achieve the amount of happiness you were anticipating and receiving, it can actually end up leaving you feeling less fulfilled than when you first started. If you go out there into the world, which is a pretty up place, might I add, chasing after happiness and you don't get it, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be way more depressed and sad than when you first started out. So I'm proposing a completely different methodology and a completely different way of achieving this. Because after all, as both of my grandfathers would say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So let's skin this feline, shall we? What I'm proposing instead is, instead of chasing after happiness specifically, basically you're just going to say, fuck the feeling of happiness, okay? I'm just going to do what it is that I want to do in life. And guess what's going to naturally come from that is this feeling of, I don't know if it's happiness, but it's a feeling of satisfaction and a feeling of, I did it. Kind of feeling like you can just rest easy knowing that you chased after something that it is that you want to do, and the natural outcome of that is satisfaction, and I would argue happiness. Like, take for instance me doing this YouTube channel. I've wanted to do a YouTube channel for the longest time, but I just never really had the courage to do it up until now. Now, the fact that I'm doing something that I want to do, that is giving me satisfaction. And I'm saying, I'm not chasing happiness. I'm just chasing something that it is I want to do. I'm chasing my dream. And by chasing my dream, I'm going to get out of that satisfaction and hopefully happiness. But if I don't get that, I'm fine. So I have here the definition of nihilism, and this is how we're going to tie this all together. So we have the rejection of all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. So that sounds pretty depressing, doesn't it? But, let's treat this like an onion. Let's peel back the layers a little bit. When you look at that definition and it says the rejection of all religious and moral principles, that's, that could be debated in an entire other video. That's kind of beyond the scope here. What I want to focus on is the second part of that definition, life being meaningless. It sounds depressing at first, doesn't it? But if you think about it, the embracing of nihilism kind of says, you know what? I don't need to take life as seriously as I think I need to. Now, that doesn't say that you can't have goals in life and still chase after things, but it's simply saying don't take things as seriously as you think you need to. That's how I look at it, and that's how I'm encouraging you to look at it as well. So if you take that and kind of run with it and say, okay, so if I don't need to take life as seriously as I think I do, then why does it matter if I'm happy or not? Why does it matter if I fail or not? Why not just chase after something that I want to do the things that I really want to achieve in life, and what's going to come out of that is satisfaction and a sense of almost happiness. So that's just kind of how I'm trying to tie the two together. And I realize this video may be a little bit of a reach, or I may be playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, but I heard in a podcast with Alex Hormozy, who's a big time nihilist, him kind of talking on this subject, and I wanted to just kind of put in my own thoughts, and I thought it was a really interesting topic, this whole idea of nihilism and saying that life is meaningless and turning that into a positive thing. So what's the takeaway of all this? Well, basically I'm saying stop taking everything so seriously in life, because life was meant to be enjoyed. Life was meant to be full of things that we should chase after, dreams that we want to achieve, things that we want to do, because everybody's different. Everybody's going to have a different thing that they want to achieve. And when I say you need to stop taking life so seriously, I mean me as well, because let's face it, I have just as much trouble with this as the next person. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a breakdown of nihilism and why I think it's actually kind of a positive thing. That's going to be it for me today. So feel free to subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff. I'm really interested to see what y'all have to say about this one. Again, I know I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but I thought it would be fun. So I thank you guys very much for tuning in. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.